What would you say if I told you that you can go from 0 readers with your self-published book to 1,000 readers in a short amount of time? Wouldn't that be fantastic? Welcome to SkillUp Academy. In today's training session, Jordan Gross will show you how to make that happen. It's going to be a bit of a different session this time around because we're doing an interview, and I think this is going to be more interactive and a lot of fun. And you're going to learn so much. So if you want to self-publish a book, I know most of Jordan's tricks already. I know they're amazing. I know you're going to learn so much. So let's get right into it.
Yes. What's up, Danny?
Hey, all good. How are you?
Great. Yeah. Very excited to share some tricks and tips and anything about the publishing world. So I'm going through the publishing process again for book number 2, but obviously that first book was self-published. So let's dive right in.
Yeah. What did you decide to write this book, the first book, Getting Comfy?
Why did I decide to write the book and just overall?
Yeah.
So no real reason. I was in the corporate world and I just knew that wasn't the impact that I was supposed to be making on the world. And I quit with no real plan or strategy. I had about 75 pages in a Word document of reflections and ideas based off of personal growth and development books and podcasts that I was listening to. And one idea that really was allowing me to overcome stress and anxiety and focus on my positivity, optimism in a crazy, chaotic corporate job was my morning routine. So Getting Comfy, Your Morning Guide to Daily Happiness is a morning routine designed to wake yourself up in the morning, beat the alarm clock, and focus on yourself, just like you do, Danny. It's not for 5 or 4 hours, but it's more so for whatever amount of time you want it to be. But it's just about when the alarm clock goes off, that time is for you. We all have this commonality where we each wake up every single day. So we might as well start the day focusing on ourselves so that we can best help other people. So that's like the concept behind the book. And the reason why I wrote it was because there I was in a job where like I was not making an impact on the world whatsoever. And I knew that my next experience and opportunity had to be something where I was making an impact and adding value to other people. I knew I had to build and create something from the ground up. And I knew I had to do something that was very relationship based, where I was building relationships, maintaining them, learning from new people. And in the book writing process, it's all about relationships. And in the self-publishing world, especially, it's all about what you can do in communicating with others to either help them promote their work so they promote yours, or just do an authentic ask so they'll promote your book. So I knew it had to include those 3 things. So book writing it was.
Nice. I remember when I read your book, that was in February 2018. So not long after I started my SkillUp approach.
Yeah.
And I was reading the book and I saw myself in that book. I was like, this is what I realized not too long ago. I need to do these things as I wake up instead of jumping, eating breakfast, going to work. It does change your mindset going into your day.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It resonated with me right away. And I think it resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I think that's why we're such good friends too, right?
Yeah. So you answered my second question, which was why Getting Comfy. So we got that one.
Well, just the quick little addition to that is I was really inspired by Hal Elrod's The Miracle Morning. But having gone and immersed myself in this self-help and personal growth and development world for such a long time, I believe that the way to fully get the most out of what you're reading and learning is to implement it first and foremost, but then cater it and even change it based off of what's going to be best for you, right? So I was doing the Savers routine that Hal has in The Miracle Morning for his what you should do in the morning, like, silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And I was doing some of them and I was like, I need this in the morning. But then I would do another one and be like, this isn't really doing that much for me, right? So maybe there's something in here, but I'm going to change it around a little bit, right? So I changed it to the comfy acronym standing for calm, openness, movement, funny, and you. And I think just a general piece of advice from me is, if you're in the self-help world or reading to benefit yourself at all, don't just take the words for what they are on paper, like actually apply them to the real world, actually interpret for yourself, and actually like, cater it to who you are. Because it's not going to be the same advice for every person, because we all come from different backgrounds and have different experiences.
So true.
Yeah.
I've been writing so many productivity-based articles and some about morning routines, and I actually don't like writing about that because it is so personal.
Yeah.
I do use my story to tell people that, I wake up at 4 a.m, but you don't need to.
Yeah.
It's not about copying me or copying someone else that has a routine for them. It works for them.
Yeah.
So my latest article, I'm happy that it's actually doing well, because it's about them.
Yeah.
Your routine, how to build your routine. And you did a great job in your book as well.
Thanks, man. And the last quick thing is, like, that's why it is, you said, like, why comfy? And it's because comfy is nothing specific, right? They're all buckets, right? So calm is a general idea. You can meditate, you can wash the dishes, you can deep breathe. It's just the idea that you have to do something calm. It's up to you to decide what that calming influence is going to be, right? And it's the same thing with the 4 other parts too. So that's why comfy.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
You're not being directional. You're being a guide. It's really about guiding.
Yeah.
Why self-publish? I'm really intrigued. A lot of people, they think that publishing, you have to go to the traditional publisher route.
Yeah.
More people are realizing now that you can self-publish and you can do well with it. Yeah. I published 4 books, self-published 4 books, and not nearly as successful as yours. And I haven't applied the tips that you're about to tell us. And that's a mistake. And I hope people will not make the same mistake. So why self-publishing?
Okay. So here's obviously the brunt of the conversation. We're going to dive in deep here. And I think it's important to first start with the differences between self-publishing, traditional publishing, there's hybrid publishing, and there's boutique publishing. So the 2 sides where everything is really on the author, his or herself, is hybrid publishing and self-publishing. So I can also tell this based off of my story. So when I wrote the book, I was a 23-year-old naive kid who, I went to a good school, I had a good job, and I thought I wrote a pretty cool book idea. And I said, I'm going to get a traditional publishing deal from Penguin, no problem, right? So I reached out to a couple literary agents, because you need a literary agent in the traditional publishing world to get to like a Penguin or a HarperCollins or something like that. And they all basically said, like, cool idea. What's your platform? And I was like, platform? I don't know what a platform is. I just wrote a book, like, here. And they said, basically, spend a couple years on growing your following to, hundreds of thousands, get views, put articles out there, and then come back to us. And hundreds of thousands. Wow. And then come back to us with your book proposal, like, best of luck. So I said, like, I'm not going to wait years. Like, I just quit my job and I wrote a book. So let me explore a different avenue.
So wait, the book was written?
Yeah, already? The book was written already. So Tim Ferriss actually wrote a cool little article differentiating between fiction and nonfiction. For nonfiction, it's actually preferred by agents and publishers if you haven't written the manuscript yet. So it's more you're coming to them with a concept. For fiction, it's preferred if you have written the manuscript. So that's just a different distinction, especially for me, because my first book was nonfiction, and then the second book, which we'll get to, is fiction. So the first one would have been better if I had just a proposal. The second one, for fiction, I knew that I had to have the whole manuscript before I started pitching. So anyway, we'll get to that later. So with self-publishing, I decided to do that with the first book because the traditional publishing world takes a very long time. It takes a long time to get the book in the hands of an agent. Then once you sign on with an agent, it takes you and the agent time to write a proposal that's going to the publishers. Then it takes time to actually get a deal from the publishers. And all in all, probably takes like 2 years before your book would even come out. Right? So that's the number one thing, first and foremost, between the different publishing methods, is it's all about time. So
what about success?
Well,
So it takes that much time to take the traditional approach, but are you more successful?
well, we can get there.
Okay.
There's obviously other differences. So with self-publishing, it's also about owning the process, right? When you self-publish, you own all of the content, you own all of the rights, and you get all of the royalties. In traditional publishing, your agent gets a cut and the publishing house gets a cut. You don't own any of the rights. You don't get all the royalties, right? And you don't own the direction that the book is going in. Like, they can make changes. They have final editing.
They can do that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really based off of what they want rather than what you want. So that's a big difference too. In self and hybrid publishing, it's more based on you. And then there's this other sliver category, boutique publishing, where you do own the rights. That's what I'm doing with my next book. And I do own the rights. I do get the royalties. But they do have a say in the editing process. So that's another difference. In the self-publishing world, there is also an emphasis on distribution. So the distribution is all up to you. And this is really where the traditional publishers come in and make their mark. So with self-publishing, the distribution is all you. Like, you have an ebook, you sell it on Amazon, CreateSpace does the paperback copies, and you can't really get it into bookstores unless you have relationships with bookstores. You can't get it into a Barnes and Nobles, can't get it into the Amazon bookstore, right? The hard physical copies are like damn near close to impossible to distribute and get out there. So with a traditional publisher, they have relationships with the big bookstores where they say, like, you leave that to us, we'll get your book in some sort of bookstore, like, no problem, right? That's another thing. Other little differences is in the traditional publishing world, the author gets an advance. So, but for first-time authors, unless you have this huge platform, it's usually like $5,000 to $7,000, and that's just money that goes to you right up front. And yeah, so it goes to you right up front. You get to keep that and like use it for any expenses that you might incur. But then the publisher is basically, you're marketing on your own as a first-time author, right? So they don't really help with the PR until you have like a big following and name behind you. Then they'll help with some PR, get you on talk shows. Your agent helps you with that a lot too. But in the self-publishing world, you don't have that. So the marketing is all on you, right? Yeah. So with the first book, I really just thought, I'm growing this following on my own. I'm a first-time author. I am just, dipping my feet in the literary world. So I think self-publishing gives me control. It's going to give me a good opportunity to learn and experience this world. And that's the direction that's going to be best for me. So that's why I chose self-publishing for the first book. And there, we could talk about costs, we could talk about process, we can talk about anything you want. So I'll leave the next question to you.
Well, I'm actually intrigued about, so you mentioned the, what's the term you use? There's another way for self-publishing, hybrid.
Hybrid publishing, yeah.
What is that?
Basically, people have capitalized on the self-publishing industry and made businesses where they help you publish your book. They don't get any rights or royalties, but they charge you a fee to like coach you through the book publishing process.
Oh.
So there are companies out there like that, and they'll even like help you with the distribution in terms of like setting you up on CreateSpace or Amazon or something like that. So that's more of a hybrid publisher. And then boutique publishing is what I said I'm doing for my next book. So that's as the step before like Penguin or HarperCollins. And boutique publishing, basically, here's like what I'm getting is there's a full editing process, full blown, 3 rounds of edits. Then they do, they have a graphic design team. So they'll do the cover and the formatting of the book for me. Nice. They have a marketing team. So I'll get, 5 strategy sessions with the marketing team. And they have distribution channels within some independent bookstores. So it's not on the same grandiose scale of a traditional publisher, but they're like, next best step. I own all the rights and the royalties. I don't know if I mentioned that, but the cost is I pay an upfront fee to like get the process going, and then I have to pay the additional balance as the process, as I continue to go through the process.
And how expensive is that? Like, no need to say how much you're paying.
I'll tell you. Yeah, it really depends on the caliber that you're looking for. I'm working with I'm not working with them yet, but I'm working with a publishing house that is focused on transformational literature, and their process is very intensive, and they only work with, like 12 to 15 authors a year. So mine's going to be $2,500 up front, and then the remaining balance is $10,000 after that.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a considerable investment for hopefully a large return. And yeah, so I'm getting ready to hopefully sign on with them.
The thing I love about this fee that to me sounds really, really high. The one thing I love about that is the accountability you get from it. You're paying that much money. It better be good, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, Danny, it sounds like super, super high. And I tried to go into the self-publishing process being as cost conscious as I could possibly be. But my process still ended up being around like $6,500 on there, because editing is expensive, because formatting is expensive, because cover design is expensive, because what else did I incur costs on? That was pretty much it. That was the bulk of it.
But I think even outside the costs, you spent so much time. Like I know the amount of time you spent on marketing your own book and all these things, coordinating the work, connecting with people. So the amount of time that you actually use, depending on how you value your time, this could actually add up to more than 25,000.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so with the boutique, they take away a lot of the time in the background of things. So that's very helpful.
How about royalties so if you publish traditionally, I'm assuming they take a cut. I know in the film business, they actually take 100% of the profits until you reach a certain amount. You know how it works on that part?
Yes. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm sure every deal is different. But in the traditional publishing world, like I said, you have to have an agent. So your agent gets 5 to 15%, right? Okay. And then the publishing house gets 60%. I've heard that number being floated around. Like I said, what?
Forever?
It depends on the deal, but yeah, it could be. And I'm not an expert on the traditional process yet because I haven't gone through it. So take the traditional advice with a grain of salt. Yeah. But I've heard some stories where the author is the last one to get paid in the traditional process. Like, it is not a lucrative gig unless you are selling 1 million copies, right?
But even then, if they take 60%, it's I mean, yeah. And so, how about self-publishing? So most people do it on Amazon. I think they take 70%. You keep 70%?
Yep, you keep 70%. Yeah, you did it. You keep 70%, they get 30, that's as high as you can get. Pretty much, yeah.
Is there any other option? I know Apple has iBooks. Is that a possibility? Can you do both? I know that Amazon has benefits if you do it exclusively with them, but I don't know. Have you checked other alternatives?
No, I can't speak to that. You can give it out for free and get people to download it for free, and then you can take them to your email list and hopefully get speaking engagements and things like that, or like coaching from it, and that could be your revenue driver. But the book itself, I don't really know any other way to sell it and where royalties would come into the picture. Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned when you're self-publishing, you're on your own to do all the marketing, all anything.
Yeah.
And how does one go from how does one get to the bestseller list like you did?
Yeah.
So quick, so good. I was really impressed. How did
Yeah.
you get there? What was your strategy?
Yeah. So I mentioned in the beginning I had to do something that was totally relationship based, right? So people were my biggest asset in coming out with the book. And the number one piece of advice I can have before you come out with a book is to have a launch team.
Hmm.
So before my book came out, I wrote down 186 people within my network who I wanted to reach out to and tell I had a book coming out. And mind you, this was before this whole year of personal growth and development world and meeting people like yourself and other writers and other speakers and all that stuff. So these were just friends, like high school friends, college friends, former work colleagues, mentors, like teachers I had, friends' parents, who I told about the book. So I
Mhm.
personally messaged, emailed, called 186 people.
Wow.
Okay. So I
How
did
long did
that.
that take?
What?
How long did that take?
I did, honestly, it was very fun. And when I was done for the day with all the like logistics and the boring stuff, I would like sit on my couch and just text people, like 30 people a day. So
Okay.
it didn't take that long, like maybe a week total, but I didn't do
Oh,
it in succession. I was telling people like a month in advance that there was a book coming out and I had already written the manuscript. So I sent them all a free PDF copy.
mhm.
Okay, so I sent them a free PDF copy and I said, hey, I'm writing a book. Here's a free copy. Thank you so much for being such a great friend of mine. All I'm asking right now is that you be a part of my launch team. And what that means is there are going to be a couple things that I'm going to ask you to do the week before or the week that the book comes out. And just that's it for now. Like, 186 people were more than happy to be a part of the launch team.
They all agreed?
Yeah, every single one. Yeah,
100%.
100%.
How did you
186 for
sell it to them?
186. What?
How did you sell it to them? What was your message that everyone actually said, dude, yeah, I'm doing that?
It was just people who I've known for a really long time. Just saying like, yeah, sure, I'd be happy to help you and support you. So that's why it all comes back to relationships and always treating people with respect and having a great group of friends and having great people who are in your life because you never know when you're going to have to lean on somebody else. So that's why it always matters how you treat other people because it comes
Wow.
back at some point. So all these people were willing to lend a hand, and that was really, I could not have been more appreciative of that.
Wow. I can't.
So
I probably shouldn't be saying that live, but either you have better friends than I do, or you're a better friend than I am. I don't think
I
I
don't
can
know.
100% success.
I don't know. But people agreed, but then, certain ones didn't actually follow through. So that, if you want to look at it that way.
Mhm.
But anyway, with the launch team, you want to accomplish a couple different things, right? So here we're getting down into the details of the Amazon algorithm and how to actually get to that bestseller. So
Mhm.
on Amazon, you get to a bestseller by being number one in a specific category. And the categories range from anything as large and grandiose to inspiration to things as specific and niche as like I'll just say what mine was number one in, like work related health, right? Teen health. I had number one in a couple different categories because there was less competition. So I strategically did not put my book in the category of inspiration because Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People
Mhm.
is at the top of the inspiration list, and that is sold 20 million copies, and I was never going to get in front of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, so I would never be a number one bestseller in inspiration. So you really want to do your research beforehand, dive deep into those categories, see what number the number one book, what number on all of Amazon the number one book is in each category. And if it's anywhere from like 5,000 upwards, you can feel pretty confident that if you do a really stellar job, your book for at least a day, 2 days, 3 days, that's what it takes to be a bestseller, will be above that 5,000 mark in all of the books on Amazon.
Mm.
and then you'll
So
get the
being a
bestseller
bestseller
status.
means to be #1 for at least one day.
Yeah.
In the category.
I believe so. It's one day. It might be 3 days now. It might be a week now. I'm not totally sure because it was over a year ago now. But
Oh,
I
I
need
wonder
to
if
look
you
into
just
that.
run Facebook ads and spend a shit ton of money. And
Yeah, you can. You
yeah.
honestly can. Yeah. Um, but anyway, so I chose these very specific categories: work-related health, teen health, family and relationships, like I don't know, some other stuff. I got like
So wait,
six.
you chose how many categories can you choose?
So here's yeah. So they only show that you could do 2, but
Mhm.
if you email Amazon saying I think my book fits in a couple different categories, they'll do up to 6.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so cool. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
that's a good piece of advice. Yeah, that's a little secret.
Mhm.
Um,
Wh-
so
Which
let me
email?
do that.
Which email do you
Just
send?
when you're on the page, like the Amazon Author Central page, you
Yeah.
can email it right to the support page, the
Oh,
help
cool,
page. Yeah.
cool. Wow, I would not have thought of that. That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
So
I'm gonna
that,
start looking at the categories that you mentioned. That
yeah,
books
and
on top
you can revitalize your book right now,
nice.
and get,
Good advice for everyone. If you have a
yeah,
book, you can actually
you can revitalize it. You can get a launch team now, right? Like you can just totally relaunch your book. So
Mhm,
back to the launch team. I
mhm,
asked for 2 things before the book came out, and I asked for 3 things after the book came out. And I did it. I only asked 1 thing a day because people suffer from choice paralysis. So if I
mhm,
were to send them one email that said, "Hey guys, I would love for you to read, review, share, and put posts on your email list about my book," nobody would end up doing anything, right?
mhm.
Like they wouldn't know what would be most beneficial. So each day I asked them to do one very simple, less than 3-minute task. Well, not okay. So before the launch, I asked them to read the book or at least familiarize themselves with the book. So that was the first thing.
Mhm.
And then I said, also, if you wouldn't mind, craft a review before the book comes out officially on Amazon. So
Cool.
read, craft a review because on Amazon, the algorithm is highly impacted by reviews.
Mhm.
So I wanted to get as many reviews as possible. Here's the caveat with reviews. What?
How many did you get?
Right now, there's 79.
So, but I'm assuming some of them are from real customers. So from your launch,
Yeah.
how many did you get?
It's a great question. I wish I kept track of that. Probably like 40.
Still,
Um, because here's the caveat with reviews. Again, I don't know the exact answer. Only Amazon knows the exact answer. But to me, it seems like with reviews, the closer you seem like you are to the author, the more likely your review is to get taken down from Amazon.
mhm.
So both my parents, their reviews got taken down. My brother's review got taken
Oh,
down. I probably had over 30 reviews get taken down from Amazon.
do they know by the name, or how would they know?
They can tell by the name. They can tell. One of my theories is that I lived
Yeah,
with 12 guys in college in a house, and we had the
yeah,
same Amazon shipping address for a
yeah.
whole year. So all of them, every single one of their reviews was taken down.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
So I said,
unfortunate at the end of the day because these are people that really read the book and enjoyed it, and they wrote some really beautiful reviews. So it's almost not fair to them that their review didn't get to be seen by anybody. But anyway, yeah, so you have to try to find loopholes to that. One way is to, I don't know, review from somebody else's page or buy the book from somebody else's Amazon page, like a mom, a friend, whatever. But anyways, in order to get verified reviews are the best as well. So that is buying a paid version of the book, like whether it's 99-cent ebook or 10.99 paperback, and then actually like spending some time reading it and then reviewing it afterward. Like I
yeah,
think the Amazon algorithm has built into it the amount of time it takes before you actually put a review up there. Like you can't just download it and then your review is on there immediately, right? Like that review is probably going to get taken off. because there's some sort of foul play, even though there might not be. Like, I always think, and even Mike Thompson, who you and I both know very well, Danny, we were talking about a product that his friend made that's now on Amazon, and Mike was just like, "This is so annoying. I can't review it. Maybe because I didn't actually purchase it, but I got it as a gift, right? Like, I got it as a gift. I just want to review it. It was a great gift." So I think Amazon has some work to do in that category. But anyway, that was what I asked before the launch. After the book was launched, the first day, I asked that people download it. So I asked that people downloaded it for 99 cents, said that I was willing to pay them all back, and they downloaded it.
You launched at 99 cents, but increased.
I launched the ebook at 99. I actually launched for 5 days free, and the free downloads were through the roof, right? Because I just put it on a couple different free sites, and the free downloads were like, I think I had over 20,000 free downloads.
Damn.
Yeah. Which ultimately didn't lead to much, but like it was downloaded like over 20,000 times, I remember.
You gotta tell us now what are these free websites that you mentioned?
I can look back and get them to you, but I don't remember at all because it was more of just the adrenaline rush. Like, of those 20,000, maybe 2 ended up reviewing, or 5 ended up reaching out to me after. So it was a free download. I didn't get much out of it other than the fact that I get to say that 20,000 people downloaded the book, which for me isn't too much of a thrill anymore. But anyway, I started at 99 cents for the ebook. So January 31st, my ebook came out and it was 99 cents. And I asked my launch team one task just to download it. And I said I would give all the money back for that 99 cents. So however many people downloaded it, and that was great. And then day 2 of the launch week, I said, please now write your reviews if you've purchased the book. And then day 3, I said, if you're willing, either tell a friend at the water cooler, share it on your Facebook, send it to your email list. Please share with at least one person the book. And those are my 3 asks. And that was it. That was my launch strategy. And then very quickly it ballooned to the bestseller. And then a month later, my paperback came out. So it went back to bestseller because I did another relaunch. So yeah, that was the number one piece of advice I have, is to use the people who know, trust, like, and support you the most.
How long did it take you to get to bestseller? You said less than a month.
Yeah. Wow. I think the time to maximize when you get to bestseller is like the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, makes sense. One thing that happened to me when asking people to review the book was that Amazon has this threshold. How do you pronounce that word?
Threshold.
Yeah. So that you can only start reviewing products after you spend at least $50.
Yeah, that too. Obviously, you need an Amazon account. You can't not be an Amazon buyer and review a product. And then, like you said, you have to spend at least a certain amount of money before you can review. So yeah, there's a lot of, you run into a lot of annoying little nuances of the Amazon beast that it is. Yeah,
for me, that actually reduced by almost 50% the amount of people that were actually able to provide a review, because in their country it was not accessible, or this is my mom that doesn't know how to use a computer, or that kind of people. But wow, this launch team approach is so powerful. When you mentioned it to me initially, I thought it was just a few good friends. I didn't realize that you actually went for almost 200 people to do that. And I imagine today you've got such a network that's so much bigger than it was back then. I just can't imagine how big your launch team could be.
It's so much bigger and also so much more meaningful, right? So it's a smarter, like, quote unquote, smarter network now. It's like people with followings. Like, I was asking my best friends who have nothing to do with the book world, who have nothing to do with putting out content or growing a presence on any sort of thing, you know. And sure, they could post on Facebook, but like we all have the same friends, so if they were posting, then it didn't really add anything to the picture. So now that I've, you know, really focused on growing and developing relationships for the last year and a half, all my launch teams moving forward will have that much more impact, right? So, you know, you always hear to value the relationship that you have, and this is one of the reasons why in this world.
Yeah, I've seen you grow from pretty much 0 people in your LinkedIn profile to now I think 13,000.
Yeah.
That's going to be an incredible launch team there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You think this is actually, so I think this is a great audience, as you said, because it's people that care about that. But is there any other way you would grow that launch team? I think LinkedIn is great. But
LinkedIn is fantastic for sure. And as you know, as one of the top writers on Medium could be a great place too, because people love reading, and you can have a launch team that's, you know, dedicated to like mini articles maybe. I'm just trying to think creatively, like your launch team could be your Medium following, and you could put out 1-minute reads where you're asking your launch team on Medium to do something for you, and then they'll read, and I don't know. So you could do something cool like that. But yeah, I think, yeah, wherever your presence is the greatest, I would go with an asset-based approach.
Yeah, on Medium though, the difference between that and LinkedIn is that you actually don't connect one-on-one, so you can't really
definitely not as well. Well, so on Medium, you can send private notes, right? Like yeah, so you can do that, but LinkedIn is definitely way better for connection one-on-one.
Well, the problem with private notes is that it has to be on an article, right?
Right. There's no chat option where you can have this ongoing conversation. Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of the readers we have are just there to read and don't actually post anything.
Yeah.
It'd be really awkward to go and one of the comments they give to someone else and add a private note there and be like, "Hey, remember me?"
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, I guess you answered my next question. Like, would you do it again? You're going with boutique.
Yeah, so I'm going to do boutique next because, again, I was definitely looking for a traditional publisher this time. And my big goal is to be a New York Times bestseller by the time I'm 30 years old, right? So I'm 24 right now. And what?
You increased that. I think you said 25 originally.
No. It was always 30.
Oh, okay.
No, I want to sell 25,000 copies by age 25.
All right.
Or during age 25. But yeah, New York Times bestseller by age 30. So, realistically, you'd need a traditional publisher to become a New York Times bestseller. Like, that's the harsh reality is that's what you need. So I really wanted for this book to have a chance at it, right? So I was growing my following, and I thought maybe I would have, you know, the thousands of LinkedIn connections, the hundreds of thousands of monthly views, and really like a nice engagement on LinkedIn and things like that. But it was really hard to get an agent. It takes a lot of pitching. You know, you and I, Danny, know that we put a beautiful proposal together for the limitless effect, and we got absolutely no bites. Like, I think 2 people responded to us with a combined following of 1,000. Yeah, and it took us so much work, and there are hundreds of people a day who are reaching out to these agents. So you really need to stand out. You really need to know somebody at times. So I got into a couple of conversations with agents, and then I had somebody who was willing to work with me. But I heard that if we worked together, first of all, since I was a first-time author, I would get a very small advance, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Second of all, I would not be on the top of any publisher's list, right? So I wouldn't be getting the same kind of treatment. I would be more viewed as like a number rather than an actual person. So I wouldn't be getting PR opportunities. I wouldn't be, you know, getting the great distribution channels. So that would be the second thing. And I mean, I can't speak to whether that's true or not, but that was just a reality of what could have happened. The third thing was that the time it would have taken to get the book out there would have been so prolonged, like 2021, I think. If I were to sign with an agent and then start fishing around the proposal for a book now, it still wouldn't be published until like maybe January of 2021, which is a really long time.
Yeah.
Right. So I decided, oh, and also the royalties and the rights. Like if you do traditional publishing, I wouldn't have any I would get minimal royalties. I would have no rights. So if the book does amazing, which I'm hoping for, fingers crossed, knock on wood, I don't own the rights to it. So like if there are movie opportunities, if there are like video series opportunities, I don't know, whatever can happen with rights. I'm not too familiar with that category. I wouldn't own that. That would all go to the publishing house. So now with this boutique firm, I own the rights. I get the royalties. It's like maybe 6 to 9 month process rather than the 2 years. And it's a very personalized feel. You're on the phone constantly. You're back and forth with the people there. So yeah, that's why I decided with the boutique publishing. And I didn't again decide on self-publishing because I think it's just a nice transitional step to that bestseller by 30, right? So maybe I do self-publishing, then I do boutique publishing, and then hopefully the next one I'll have a large enough audience to get to the traditional publishing level.
So with the boutique publishing, you can get to the New York Times bestseller?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I think it's just much easier to be with a traditional publisher. Yeah.
And I was thinking just now, like you and I write, we write blog posts, Medium, different avenues, LinkedIn, and a lot of time we realize that we write something, it works kind of good, we just keep publishing regularly, very frequently. I think you and I publish at least a little bit of writing every day, and sometimes something just picks up unexpected.
Yeah.
You think this is actually a strategy for writing books? I have a feeling I've heard people that actually publish tons of books and then one just picks up. Do you think it's a strategy, just like writing blog posts? The more you post, the more chances you get of getting viral?
I would say why not? Obviously, the books have to have a lot more packed into it. Like you can't just come out with a 14-page book. But yeah, I would say if you have the capacity to put together like really digestible but somewhat plausible book ideas, then why not put books out there? But it's really all about the marketing. Like you can't just throw a book up on Amazon and say, hey, read this. Like I hope it's going to work. People have to know that you're doing it. So sure, you could put up 5 books in a year and just hope one of them takes off. But you need to put a certain amount of marketing initiative on one of those books. And hey, maybe, you really go all out for one. And then because one picks up, then the other 4 that you posted on there that you put out, like they pick up too, because people want to see what else you've been up to. Right. So yeah, I think there is strategy there and opportunity, but I don't think it's like a blog post too much.
Yeah. My experience is definitely that if you don't advertise it properly, you just won't make any sales.
Right.
Like very, very close to zero.
Yeah. Yeah, because people need to know.
And 5 sales.
Yeah. People need to know, because unless something is triggering the Amazon algorithm, it's not going to be on anybody's homepage. It's not going to be on anybody's recommended buys. It's not going to be on people who read this also read that, and that's the benefit of being like a high ranking Amazon book, is that you have more of a chance to get onto some of the other top selling books. And then it becomes like, okay, if you read this, then you should read that. And that's how the game works.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was all I had. Anyone in the chat has any questions for Jordan? Or Jordan, if you have anything else to add.
I don't have too much more to add. I think overall, the last thing I'll say is this difference between fiction and nonfiction. So I'm not really, my next book is fiction, but I'm taking a nonfiction marketing approach.
Mm.
So I'm still coming out with content. I'm still doing all these interviews and whatnot. So yeah, I think a way to uh, really get yourself out there is to do what the nonfiction authors do, and like really start an email list, have go on podcasts, have video content, have connections on Medium and LinkedIn and Instagram and all this good stuff, and hopefully you'll be able to put some more stuff out there.
Yeah, one thing you haven't mentioned that I know you're doing right now, which is 90 podcast in 90 days.
Yeah.
I think this will bring a lot of awareness to your project.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. So the reason for the 90 podcasts in 90 days is twofold. It's one, because I love talking about what I'm doing. I love talking about it with other people, and I was talking about it with other people on pretty much a daily basis. So why not have the same kinds of conversations and add a little value to a wider audience? That was first. And then second is because I really want to show the effort, the strategy, the determination, resilience, the grit it takes to start something from the ground up and really build awareness for it. So it's a deep dive into, all the outreach you have to do, the authentic and genuine communication you have to have, the value you have to add back to other people when you want to get something out there that is your own, that you're self-promoting, right? It's still all about other people. So I want to show that process.
Yeah, guys, I've known Jordan for over a year now. It's just incredible to see him, like the determination and how much he's like, I don't know, he's like, he has to do it. He's really good at following through and working. People say they work hard. They haven't seen Jordan. Jordan, like when we were working on the book together, I don't remember how many literary agents we actually reached out to, but I think it was close to 100. And he put a different
Not
message,
that many.
all of them, and reached. It was So
yeah.
you don't know Jordan's work, follow him on LinkedIn and Medium and all these places. You're going to be super inspired.
Yeah, appreciate that. And Ajit sent a little question.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. So the 13,000 connections on LinkedIn, it's not like I remember and talk to all of them. It's more like a select audience of a sizable amount of people who they pop up and they'll comment on the content out there, and I'll comment on their content who I'm more familiar with. I probably had thousands of conversations on LinkedIn, but I don't remember all 13,000, but definitely a couple thousand.
When you so I'm on my journey to connect with more people on LinkedIn, and I look at their profiles and ask for a connection request.
Yeah.
But still, it's so hard to grasp. People message me a few days after and like, oh, thanks for connecting, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh shit, I don't even remember who you are.
Yeah.
And I go back to their profile, but I guess it's normal, right?
Yeah, it is. It's just having an intentional and deliberate awareness of why you're connecting, what's going on with them, sending a genuine message, and following if they're like a content creator, it's following their content, adding a comment, liking a post here and there. Yeah, that's what really builds the relationships on LinkedIn that end up being meaningful.
Mm-hmm. I know for the podcast stuff, you had a spreadsheet of everyone contact, the reason why you want to contact them, like just a checklist of where you are in the process. Do you have to do that with other types of followers, like on LinkedIn, for example?
So I really loved how I was doing that with the podcast stuff. That was really so I did that with the agents that we reached out to, right? I would write down who they are, a little bit about them, how I can personalize a note to their interests in the books that they want to read, what firm they work for, obviously, when I contacted them, when I followed up, and if we ever heard back, which we didn't. a lot of the time. But so I did it with that, and then now I'm also doing it with the Cloud9 stuff. So I have a whole list of people who I've interviewed already, who I want to interview. So I split that into like attainable interviews and then like Cloud9 guests, like people who I would never dream of having on, but somehow, using that third door to contact them and maybe get a 15-minute interview with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that. It's like, did I contact them over email? Did I schedule with them an interview? Did we get on Zoom? Did I record it? Did I do the 9 questions? Did we do the 90-second video? Have I posted about them yet on LinkedIn? Is it on the website? Is it on my email list? Right? So it's just these categories of like, you're literally filling out monotonously, like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes, yes. But that's what I've got going on for that too. And I do the same thing with the podcast.
Guys, that's exactly what I was mentioning. Jordan just has this process. He thinks about the things he's about to do. So whenever you try to like have an ambitious goal, like him going to the New York Times bestsellers list, it's not an accident. You have to be deliberate and think outside the box and think about the steps that you need to do and how to record the steps and have an awareness of where you are in the process. And there's so much to learn from Jordan on that.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
And that's all I've got. Anything else to add, Jordan?
No, for all you wannabe book writers out there, certainly write your books, but also be like Danny and write your articles and have people know who you are and put out stuff that adds value to other people, stuff that you want to put out there, stuff that you enjoy writing about and really want to learn about too. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. Where can people connect with you? What's the best place to reach out?
We didn't even talk about the next book at all. And it's called The Journey to Cloud9. And everything I'm doing can be found at journeytocloud9.com, all spelled out, journey, T-O, cloud, N-I-N-E.com. So I got interviews on there. I got videos on there. Got the 90 podcasts that I'm going on are going to get put up there whenever the episodes are coming out, about the journey itself and about the book itself. So you can head over there. And the one thing I would very much appreciate is being a part of that email list, which is not a newsletter. It is Tuesdays and Thursdays. I send you a 90-second clip to start your day on a high note. And it's people describing their Cloud9 moments, which are basically the happiest they've ever felt. So it's just a really nice way to start your day.
Yeah, I just received mine. Thursday, and I watched it before going in this call, and it's really inspiring to see other people's perspective on happiness and Cloud9 and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Not spammy at all. You should join it.
Yeah, no, all just about positivity and good vibes. No selling, nothing.
Yeah. So I'll add the website in the description so that people can click from there. This was a bit longer than usual, but there's just so much.
We can talk forever, man. We always can. But all right. So thank you so much, and I guess I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for joining. This was SkillUp Academy with Jordan Gross. Today we learned about the best strategies to get a bestseller on Amazon. He did it in less than a month, and that completely makes a difference. In my case, most of my books have 0 readers, and with Jordan's approach, a very simple approach, he reached many thousands of readers. So you should definitely listen to what he said and take action. All right. Thanks for coming, guys. See you later.